Good day. So for this video lesson, we'll be discussing on how to multiply rational expressions. So I have prepared some examples for you to help you go deeper on how to perform multiplication of rational expressions correctly. So let's start with our first example here. So we have here two rational expressions that is being multiplied. And if you can see, ang atong mga rational expressions, then here are monomials, tag one term siya. So we will start with the simple one first. Now, we can do it like this. So as you can see here, the two rational expressions can be combined. And sa pag-combine nato, ang atong gabuhaton i-multiply nato tanan ang naa sa numerator. And then, ang naapod tanan sa denominator, ato po na siyang ipag-multiply. Now, dili na sila pwede magkabaylo, okay? So, katong naa sa taas, dito ragid na sila sa taas at kaning naa sa ubos, dinhi ragid na sila kanunay sa ubos. Now, after doing this, we will have to multiply them. So, we'll have to answer what is a squared times 5 and what is 10 times a cubed. And this will be like this already. Alright, now take note, since wala pa man ta kabalo no, pila gid ang value ni a, so ato lang sana silang ipag-abay. And if you can remember sa akong previous video lesson, I have mentioned no nga pag ang number o ang variable mag-abay, ang bot pasabot ana multiplication. Okay, basta walay operation sa ilaha sa to nga automatic na siya multiplication. Now, kung naa na tay value ni a, pwede ra na nimo siya i-multiply kang 5 o kang 10. But this time again, since wala man ta kabalo pila si a, ipag-abay ra na nato sila. Of course, in your previous lessons, I hope you can remember that when we write algebraic expressions, we write the number first, followed by the variable. And if you can also remember, a number beside a variable is called a coefficient. So, si 5 ug si 10, mga coefficients na sila actually. Now, we're done already multiplying. So, of course, the next thing we need to do is to simplify this or reduce to its lowest term. So, of course, in reducing this to its lowest term, we can make use of the GCF. So, balik na po ta sa prime factorization. So, 5a squared, pwede na to na siya ma-prime factor as 5. Then, duha ka a, no? Kay a squared man siya. And then, for 10a cubed, this can actually be factored as 5 times 2. And then, tuludan ka a. Now, after doing that, we identify all of the common factors. Now, kani nga mga common factors, wala na ni sila. Mo ni sila ang ma-cancel and becomes 1. Kay mga common man. And so, kung tanawon nato sa ibabaw sa numerator, tanan factors kay common, walay nabilin. And dili na siya 0, but the answer of that is 1. No? Pag nahurot tanan factors pagka cancel out. And then sa obos, it's 2a because if you can see here, na ay 2 og a na nabilin. And 2 times a is simply 2a. Okay? As simple as that. Now, let's go to our next example. Again, these are still monomials. Medyo dagko lang ang numbers but still one term. And so, we can still do the same procedure as what we have in this first example. So, we combine the two rational expressions as one by multiplying all the numerators above and then multiply all the denominators below. Again, do not interchange. Now, again, kay wa matakabalo no, kung pila si b ug si c, ato rin na silang ipag-abay now. Ang kaning mga numbers, pwede nato na siya ipag-multiply. So, si 30 ug si 4, pwede na nato i-times. Si 6 ug si 15, pwede na po na nato siya i-times. So, this will now look like this. 30 times 4 is 120. And this would be b squared, c squared. And then, for the denominator, we have 6 times 15 is 90. And b to the 4th, c. Of course, another thing that I want you to recall in how to write algebraic expressions, pag naana kay more than one variable, you write it alphabetically, no? So, kinsa tong letter nga mas nauna sa alphabet, may maunag kasulat. So, of course, si B, mas una man ni C. So, munang B squared, C squared, and then diri po B to the 4th C. Okay, now we're done with the multiplication. So, the next thing we will have to do now is to simplify it again by getting the factors. Now, this time, I did not do already the prime factorization. Yan naman. Because if I will still have to do the prime factorization, taas na kaya ni siya kada ko bening a number. So what I did is do the mental math. What is the greatest common factor between 120 and 90? Obviously, it's 30. No? So it also helps kung maka-mental computation mo. Okay? Para dali ra din ninyo makuha ang GCF. And I hope you can practice that as well. Now in here, for 120, b squared, c squared, we can factor this as 30 times 4, and then duha ka b and duha ka c. And then for 90, b to the fourth c, this can be factored as 30 times 3, and then upat ka b and isa ka c. Okay? You can do it like that. So not necessarily prime factors, no? As long as kabalo ka nga kana common na siya nga factors between the two, you can do it like this. Okay? Now do the common factoring. Right there, no? Na-crush out na nato ang mga common factors. That means ang nangabilin din ha mo na siya ang answer. So for the numerator, it would now be 4c because you have 4 and c here. And then sa denominator, 3 and then duha ka b. So that's why we have 3b squared. Alright, that's it. Okay, so we will now go to our third example. Alright, so we are now on our third example, and we have here 3d over 3f minus 12, 4f minus 16 over 12d squared. So this time, kung makita ninyo, ang atong rational expressions are dili na mga monomial, no? Nanatay binomial. For the first rational expression, ang atong denominator is already 2 terms. And then sa ato ang second rational expression, ang atong numerator ang 2 terms. Okay? So for this one, we will be doing a little bit of procedure for this, no? Which is much more better if you are having this kind of rational expressions. Okay. Now, the first thing I did here is I regrouped them, no? I rearranged them. If you can see, si 3d, ang iyang gipartner si 12d squared. And then si 4f minus 16, ang iyang gipartner is si 3f minus 12. Now, pwede ni siya class, learners, no? Pwede na siya as long as dili lang yun siya mo change of position. Kung naa siya sa silong, di aragin na siya kanunay sa silong, o kung naa siya sa taas, dito aragin na siya kanunay sa taas. But you can rearrange there sa ila sa taas, and then rearrange po din sa silong. Now, why am I doing it like this? No, I can actually, you don't need to do this, no, pwede rapod, but for this one, for the purpose of discussion, I did it like this because obviously si 3d o si 12d squared na ana sila common factors. I hope you can also see that. And then kang 4f minus 16 o 3f minus 12 naapod na sila common factors. So I wanted to pair them accordingly, so that pag akuan na sila i-cancel out, mas hapsay tanawon. But then again, pwede ra nga dili na. Okay? Kaya as long as naalang sa taas ang isa, and then naa sa ubos ang isa, you can cancel them. Okay? Now, in here, the next solution is like this. So, instead of multiplying it like what we did in our previous examples, what we did here is defactor na to, which is much more better kung inani na imo mga rational expressions. Kay kung mag-multiply pa manggod ka mo, taas manggod ni siya og ayo, and then it might be confusing already sa pag-factoring. So what we did here is i-factor na lang sa daan. Okay, so what if you can see here, si 12d squared, ako ni siyang gi-factor as 3d times 4d, because that's equals to 12d squared. Now, as you can see, nakita nato na natay common factor, then hinga pwede nato na siya ma-cancel out as 1. Now, in here, si 4f o si 16, ang common nila is 4. So, akong gi-bring out si 4, and when I did that, so meaning, kang 4f ang mabilin kay si f, and then of course, kang 16, pagpagawas na ko ni 4, ako lang na siyang i-divide. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So, muna siya ang mabiling. And since minus man na siya diha, so minus dihapon ni. Now, if you will have to, kung ato ni ibalik, no, ato na siyang i-distribute balik, mo balik man kaani niya. 4 times f is 4f, 4 times 4 is 16. So, muna siya. And then in here, sa 3f minus 12, ang common is 3. So, akong gipagawas si 3. And of course, kang 3f, after ni gawa si 3, that's f already. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4. Manang 4 din ha. And again, since minus man na siya diha, minus na dayon. So you can see here, na natay mga common factors. And what I'll do is, I'll just cancel it out as 1. So meaning, wala na na sila, they will be considered 1 already. So we have this answer. So dinhi no, kay wala naman eh. So 1 na siya dinha. And then of course, dinhi sa ubos, 4D ang mabilin. So you have 1 over 4D. And then in here, C4 o C3, so you have 4 over 3. Now, as you can see here, napagid gihapon tay common factor nga 4. So, mo ni siya akong giingon nga pwede ra ka mag-cancel sa dili tungod basta kay naa lang siya sa taas o sa ubos. Take note, pwede ko mag-cancel aning 4 kay kuan man ni multiplication man ni siya. Pero kung minus ni siya og plus class, dili pwede tagsaon na like ani oh. Dili na siya pwede tagsaon. Grupo gid na siya basta plus o minus. Pero kung inani lang multiplication, pwede ra nga ang iyang abay ra ang imong ma-cancel. Pwede na siya. Now that means ang answer after nato na cancel out si 4 over 4, this will be 1 over d times 1 over 3. Now wala naman tay ko ano tanan common factors ato namang napagawas. So mag-proceed na din ta sa pa din ta mag-multiply sa katong kuan numerators all and then denominators all. So of course our final answer here will already be 1 over 3d. So this is now the simplified form. Again, when we have this kind of rational expressions, it would be better to do first the factoring and then canceling all the common factors. Din ta mag-multiply. So, mura siya pinabali nga process. So, that's it for multiplication of rational expressions, and I'll see you on our next video lessons, and that would be all about how to divide rational expressions.